Don't worry, we are friends.
GM friends, and welcome back to Friends Validator. If this is your first video, I'm your host Juri Maibaum, and this show is the hub that brings together crypto pioneers, exciting projects, and a thriving community. We are a core contributor to the staking sector, and on this channel, you will learn everything you need to know about the proof of stake run-up that is taking place right now. And one part of the proof of stake ecosystem is, of course, all of the applications that are launching on top of it. And there are applications like NFTs. And there are also app-specific blockchains such as Stargaze that generate a lot of buzz in the crypto industry right now. And one of the most hottest collections right now are Bad Kids. And Bad Kids are being launched on top of the Stargaze blockchain. It generated a lot of hype, especially in the Cosmos ecosystem. And today I invited Abhitej from Filament to the show. He's a proud owner of a Bad Kid, and he's doing God's work in India, so to say, where he promoted the Bad Kids community. So yeah, Abhitej, thanks for being on.
Thank you so much for inviting me. It's great to be here. Always great to meet old Cosmos friends and also talk about all things Cosmos, especially Bad Kids, how they've been growing.
Yeah, 100%. And maybe to kick things off, so you're not working for Stargaze or for Filament, just to make things like very clear. You just voluntarily chill Bad Kids in India, essentially. Can we break it down like this?
Yeah, it is true. I feel it's been the nature of Cosmos in general that you don't need to be aligned, or doesn't need to be like a face for something. Everyone can pick it up and like grow it. And I feel like that's been what like my journey has been in Cosmos throughout. Always earlier, I founded Cosmos India. There was little support, but it was all out of my passion that I wanted to continue. And since then, like since 2019, have kept doing things for Cosmos in India. And similarly, like recently, I felt like this Bad Kids has started becoming the index of Cosmos community, more palatable way for people to get involved within Cosmos ecosystem. And I felt like that, yes, this is something that we can do. So I don't work for Stargaze. Filament has no direct involvement in Bad Kids, but just it's like I own Bad Kids, and I want more people to learn about it, the community, the culture, and in general, just like get to learn more about interchain. So
yeah, 100% agree on this. And like maybe let's start at the beginning. So when did you purchase your first Bad Kid? How did you enter the Bad Kids community? So how did this started? I believe I think Bad Kids entered the market in late 2022, mid 2022, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, well, probably it was like mid 2022. I feel like I always found it very fascinating. A kid's drawing. Cortland did a great job with that. Just like making it very simple, so nothing fancy, nothing like. And every art is something relatable, but sort of like you want some nudge to get involved because so many things are going on. So for my introduction to Bad Kids, like as like an owner, was in Cosmoverse 2022. Medellin. Josh was throwing this Bad Kids meetup. So he came and he asked whether I own a Bad Kid. And at that point, I didn't. And so he said, you know what? You should own a Bad Kid. It just is, this is like a way we all will recognize each other 2 years down the line. That's what he said me. And I went back. So in fact, I was managing this lounge area in Medellin, so I was very busy, like hosting people. But I went back into my hotel room, bought a Bad Kids. But by that time, the meetup had already happened. But had that conversation with Josh made me buy a Bad Kid. I think so it was kind of like $80 or so, something, when I bought it. And it was very easy to pick a bad kid back then. So I picked a bad kid that just looked like me. And I think so a lot of people were doing like that. It's just like having a reminiscence of their childhood in a way. And yeah, that's how I got into bad kid. And since then, I have held it. I have rocked it on my Twitter and multiple other places. And it's also fascinating. Back after that, I traveled to my cousins in US, and then for them, it was very interesting that I had this bad kids picture everywhere in WhatsApp and something like that. So they was like, who drew this? And they started drawing like similar pictures of me. So it was like, yeah, that's like how I got really involved into bad kids.
Yeah, I think this is really how a lot of people got involved, because it just chose one as a profile picture essentially, or something where they could say, "Hey, this is me on the internet," or "This is me in the cosmos." So yeah, would you say that this is where the success also of BadKit lies? That it's about identity, and it was like kind of an inside joke in the beginning for most cosmonauts, so that they met in real life and everyone showed, "Oh, look, that's me on the internet, and this is me in real life." So is this the thing that made BadKits successful in your book? This identity aspect?
I feel like what made Bad Kids really successful, or the almost like an emblem for the interchain, was that how Cosmos is structured, it's very fragmented in terms of their different teams doing very different things. Everyone is running their own app chain and have an entire ecosystem that they're supporting. A lot of them also have their own NFT collections on their own chains, right? So, for example, if you look at Osmosis, for the longest period of time, a lot of things related to Osmosis were about Voxdemon, and similarly, like Kujira had their own NFT collections, and like Terra had its own NFT collections. So there was like very hard to identify who are all these people in Cosmos. And I think so after Bad Kids started taking off, and it started becoming like this builder culture fit, that a lot of people started like getting Bad Kids and representing themselves, and it sort of became a common identity for the entire Cosmos ecosystem. It became like, if you are a builder in Cosmos, you essentially have Bad Kids. And that is where I felt I feel it started like really getting its success, because now you had a subset within Cosmos of all the builders that have a similar identity. So it became like it is very easy to identify who are the core components of Cosmos ecosystem, and also like where do you find them? So it's just like you can go on Twitter, and when you start scrolling, you can see all these people have like same pictures, and that's how it started getting a lot of attention, and they started becoming this sort of also a way for people to connect. And I think so the meme around like BM started getting more and more popular. It started initially as an inside joke between these people who hold Bad Kids, but started to almost become like beyond Cosmos, beyond Cosmos and beyond Bad Kids holders. And that's how I feel, one, the identity part, not for individuals, but identity part for builders of Cosmos became like, I think so the biggest success for Bad Kids. On the second part, it just is like how Bad Kids community has developed, right? So if you look at Bad Kids, there was no promises of utility. So there is no jargon thrown at it. There was no this urge or rush to sort of like grow the floor price. So it was like a lot of like natural very natural growth of the entire like collection of who are the people who are coming in. They're selecting what are things that they are doing. So there was like very limited sort of like artificial or inorganic push into bad kids that actually made the foundation very strong. So today I hold a bad kid, do I want to flip it? The answer is no, right? So this and I feel like everyone I know who owns a bad kid feels the same way. So it just became as like, it was not a speculative measure early on, and they're giving that time since 2022 to now 2024 when it started to like, okay, everyone is talking about bad kids. This has been enough time for people to get soaked into the culture. So that would be the, I think, so the second part of the growth. And hats off to entire Stargaze team, to Cortland, the Genesis creator of Bad Kids, to sort of like think from this perspective that the culture needs to bloom, like to almost like get to at a scale. So those are the biggest reasons for success of Bad Kids.
Yeah, I think the last one that you've mentioned is very interesting, that people really don't have, like, didn't buy a bad kid to speculate, but just to identify themselves, or yeah, actually just for fun or because of the sake of the community initiative. So this is very, very interesting, and for me it stands for kind of a culture, and I think this is also the reason why NFTs were so successful on Ethereum. So we have seen lots of other NFT collections on Solana. They came, they vanished, but if you look back, like maybe the most successful NFT collection in that sense were not Bored Apes. I think for me really were the punks, the CryptoPunks, that really took off. And there was like the same thing. Ethereum people just looked for a punk that looked like themselves. So actually it's like very, very similar. And the amazing thing is what you've mentioned, in the Cosmos we work on so many different things. It's not like in Ethereum where everyone works on one chain and does like different DeFi applications. We build different blockchains, and just by coincidence we use the same stack essentially, and Bad Kids is like kind of the thing that we all have in common, so to say. So would you say that this is the cultural driver right here, like for the fragmented Cosmos that is looking for something that we all have in common, sort of?
Yeah, it's interesting. Like, we started hosting this podcast called Badcast, which is like we're doing these weekly spaces now, and had a very similar discussion there as well. And what I feel is like there is always, everyone always looks for an anchor. Whenever you are in community, whenever you are in a society, everyone looks for an anchor. And that's when historically for centuries, like, you know, people want to identify from which race they come from, and that becomes the anchor for them. People identify which region they come from, and that's why, you know, immigrants, when they go to like different countries, they anchor onto that one specific thing, where they have come from, where the homeland is. And so, and when we talk about crypto in general, those anchors have been the center economic value, right? Like if in Ethereum, that is ETH, is the anchor for people to associate themselves to. Like you can have 20,000 tokens, but still like every one of those builders within Ethereum will identify themselves to look, okay, I hold ETH, and I want ETH to grow. Within Cosmos, that has been a little difficult because that's been always sort of like very conflicting ideas of like how the economic value should be created. What is the like center asset, or which asset has the most potential to grow? Which should be money, which should not be money. So in that case, like it's been always very hard to create that anchor. And I feel like Bad Kids, like, although does not like reflect economic value directly, became that anchor that people want to associate with this, and people want this to be their identity, and it becomes very easy. So and for me as well, this is like the anchor, right? Why, like, while I'm building something that is now completely different from like you know, Cosmosm or Golang, and building like EVM product but within Interchain, but the anchor still remains like the bad kids in a way, like to stay connected with the daily things that are happening in Cosmos ecosystem. And yeah, so like that's what I feel right now bad kids act as, that anchor within the community where people want to relate themselves to something common. And on the analogy of like CryptoPunks, if you like really look at the genesis of like how the community built around CryptoPunks, was also like these builders who started acquiring it early on. Like these were the founders of Ethereum protocols. They would like buying this, and like it felt like if you look at it, it was truly a punk. Like it was like, okay, we're cyber punks in a way. Like everyone building in crypto is like almost like a cyber punk, and like we're living in this era where we're transforming things. And then suddenly you like associate something like to like a childhood memory of a lot of people, like those pixelated art forms, right? You playing like games in early 90s, and like there was like these pixelated games, and like you grew up in that pixelated art, so it had that resonance with a lot of people, and then that's how we started acquiring. But Ethereum being a very mature ecosystem, like a lot of things that people are buying suddenly became a speculative asset, right? So it just starts to gain that traction, and the price is like hike, and of course then it becomes like almost like, okay, this is a speculative asset and people want to buy it for investments. Within Cosmos, as with its fragmented nature, with not having one anchor, with getting it time, do you need to sort of like come to a common ground? I feel that's been what like Bad Kids has worked in Bad Kids' favor, and that it just is like that is almost like which my mentor used to talk a lot about, is like half cycle theory in general. Like everything that takes like longer to reach the peak stays till the peak for a longer period of time. And that's what been for Bad Kids. Like it has taken time for them to sort of like start to take off, and it will stay as that like common identity for a very, very long time. It's gonna be very hard to like topple it with something else. Other communities, right? The NFT examples that you mentioned, in a lot of other ecosystems, that's been the case. Sort of like there's always something that keeps coming up. So it's like one collection is being toppled by the other, or the identity is being toppled by the other. So it's very hard to retain that. But collectively, all these things I feel is what makes Bad Kids so unique.
Yeah, I think this really hit the nail on its head. And I think it's like just lovely to see that yeah, in Cosmos we kind of have this now, because if I remember the times of 2021, so for all the people who are new to Cosmos and feel like that there's essentially a cartel, or that that all of the Cosmos people are the same. Like in 2021, I also remember when we did the first Cosmoverse, like people didn't talk to each other. There was like not much going on. Everything was very, very fragmented, and now people are getting more and more together in various ways, which is like very important for the entire ecosystem in my book. But I think Bad Kids also really did a big favor to Stargaze, because we had it about cultures, and in order for a chain to develop traction in its NFT ecosystem, it needs culture. And I think now Stargaze really entered the stage where they are like they have a real big culture going on with Bad Kids, and most likely more NFT projects want to follow the approach that yeah, Bad Kids has taken. So what are your views on Stargaze right now? It's like Stargaze right now the the cultural lead essentially here in the Cosmos, among maybe two or three others like Osmosis. I mean, it's also not a new project. Like Stargaze is like actually a very OG Cosmos project. So is this is what basically also Stargaze now stands for, kind of.
Um, we all in Cosmos love to call ourselves hub of something. Osmosis is the DeFi hub. Persistence is the liquid staking hub, or Stride is the liquid staking hub, and like so on and so forth. I feel yes, Stargaze will become the cultural hub and is the culture hub, but it's not just the bad kids, in my opinion. I feel if it was not bad kids, there would have been something else which have taken off at Stargaze. Because like I'm personally a huge fan of Stargaze team, like Shane, Ruban. These guys are like amazing people, and like the way they support the community, the way they have like weathered the storm with so many things that have happened, but they've been relentless. So if it was not bad kids, something else would have taken off at Stargaze. Of course, it has taken some time to reach there, but like it will reflect. And to me, when I see at builders, and I see like, okay, how like some chain or some project will take off or will have success, is truly like looking at their team and the hunger they have to do things, and how much like almost like desire or fire they have to like make things happen. And to me, like I'll give you a very simple example. Cosmovers 2023, we are in Turkey. There's a lot of people in Cosmoverse and a lot of things happening. So first time there are so many side events happening, and there's this Stargaze throws this party, and I think so. Stargaze is a very small team in general, but like you go to this party where the co-founders are actually sitting on the registration desk, making sure who are the people who come in, and allowing their team to also like go in there and meet other people wherever. But like most of the teams in general, like in crypto, wouldn't care about, like co-founders wouldn't care about like, okay, will I sit on the registration desk and give people the tickets of like, okay, say these 3 drinks you want to have. And to me, that is the reflection of a strong team, of like saying, okay, I am here, I will make sure that this thing happens. And it's seamless. Even if I have to sit whole night here, this is the party that they are throwing, but just that everything happens seamlessly. They're the ones like taking the like extreme ownership as well of that thing that is happening. So yeah, to me, Stargaze was definitely I feel getting that discovery now, and from here more and more NFT collections will launch, more and more things will happen, but truly goes to the first principles, like how much like fire or desire there is to make these NFT collections like boom, how much support that comes in, and that team puts in that effort. You go to their Discord, you go to like in general like Twitter, you tag Shane, they will respond. Tag Ruban, they will respond. They will reach out, and those are like good things that are happening.
Yeah, totally agree on that. And yeah, like especially Shane, shout out to him. He was always like a great founder, and was always a pleasure interacting with him and whatsoever. And this is also the reason why we see this huge comeback from Stargaze right now. There were like people calling Stargaze dead, and now you feel stupid if you would call them that, because they are just coming back much more, much stronger. And yeah, we now see so much culture going on in the Stargaze ecosystem, and I believe Bad Kids won't be the last successful collection that we see on Stargaze. So yeah, basically, I want to talk about one more additional thing that you do. I've mentioned it in the intro. You are doing meetups in India, give out pizza to people, and you talk about Bad Kids. You also mentioned the weekly call that you always do, the podcast. So can you talk a little bit about this, and also why do you do that? Like, why are you so passionate about your profile picture, essentially?
This is a question a lot of people ask, and yeah, for the longest period of time, this is hurt in some ways. People say like I have stink of Cosmos on me, and it's hard to rub that off. So even if I'm building an EVM product, it just says like a lot of people like sometimes scared, and why I'm so obsessed with Cosmos, or in general like why I'm such a huge proponent of Cosmos. And I've been building in Cosmos since 2018, even before the mainnet launched. I've been contributing and doing these meetups, and trying to grow with different initiative, whether that was Cosmos India, and what essentially has happened over years is that more and more people have come into the ecosystem, but the core infrastructure of support still lacks. And that it is not like, it's truly not a criticism of like how things are managed, but in general, like I think so it's the complication of how things have to be managed, because there's no central one like center point or like center authority within Cosmos to you can go and say, hey, we need support and can you provide the support? It doesn't happen that way. And that sometimes creates a huge gap in terms of how do people get onboarded? Who do they go to support? And for me, I've always felt like the hyper growth regions, such as like India, Vietnam, Philippines, they have like this abundance of talent, which is looking for opportunities because of the competitive environment, or in general, like the basic understanding of technology. Because like in India, it's not an option to be sort of like choose tech or any like profession because you really want to do it. It's a passion thing. You have to do it. It's almost because like otherwise you won't survive. So if you don't do something different, it's going to be like you're going to be this in the lower median. And so to really get out of that like herd, you have to do something different, and that's what people are looking for. And somehow Cosmos, like even though after a lot of efforts, have not been able to tap in because there was always very limited support. So I do these meetups now because like I feel like inviting people to a tech meetup and saying, okay, hey, we're going to talk about Cosmos tech stack is it's hard for people to get associated with that. And so we live in a world where like memes are huge, where culture is huge, like online culture and NFTs are huge. And doing these meetups is a great way to sort of like bring those people on board, talk about a lot of ideas, learn from them, because now it's agnostic. And these meetups that we are doing, we don't really push just Cosmos, right? We're saying, okay, these are Bad Kids meetups, they're cultural meetups, and people come up with their own ideas. And then there is a lot of like jamming that can happen. Specifically, that happened in the BM Bangalore meetup that we did. And so my goal is like, I will never stop promoting like good things, whether that's like Cosmos tech in general, my passion for it. I will not stop like pushing on like exciting things, teams that are doing exciting things. So like I have very strong core beliefs, which are like, you know, 2 or 3. Outside of that, I really don't believe in tribalism. So I want to like support more ideas. So when people come up with their ideas, I'm just very eager to learn from them as well. And so these are the meetups where I want to sort of like say people getting more open to Cosmos, while Cosmos gets more open to other ideas or other good things that are happening in other ecosystems. And that is the platform or forum, you could say. Same as with the Backcast. The idea is to talk more about culture and crypto, about like how there are similarities between different sort of like cultures within, or like micro cultures within crypto. So for example, very similar to Bad Kids, Mad Lads and Solana have picked up. They have also have had very organic growth, and they're very, very similar characteristics within both of these communities. Those people are very proud of what like the Mad Lads representation, very, very builder focused community. They're doing very exciting things. Both of them are receiving airdrops. And so, yeah, that is kind of like what the general purpose with these meetups is. And what we won't stop in just like doing those in India. Goal is to like take these every place. And I want to personally go out there and support people who want to do this, whether that's through these templates that we have created that people can just utilize, right? Like topics that they can talk, like what sort of like sequence of events they can happen, like how you select who are the people should come to those events. And even like as we grow, of course, like right now been bootstrapping Filament, but like over time, if somebody needs like financial support, I am happy to do it in like limited capacity. Of course, I don't want to like overpromise, but yeah, anything like and everything that people can do, that is how I feel the only way we can grow from here. Yeah, and like as using this medium, I also think that is something that we're lacking vastly, that there is not support enough for good initiatives. And with these meetups, I want to be out there and supporting these people who want to like start with Cosmos, they want to start with like Interchain, they want to start with DeFi, and say, hey, you don't need to go anywhere else, just come here. Whatever support we can provide, we will do. Yeah.
Lovely to hear, and would love to see such a meetup alongside Cosmoverse maybe as a side event. I think that would be super dope.
Yeah, BadCon. That should be BadCon actually. Yeah, and I want to also take this moment to like appreciate Sasha. Like for me personally, I think so. He is doing God's work. Truly, if we have to look at it, he's been one person that I see, him and Sam, within Cosmos right now, who are really, really pushing the boundaries of what Cosmos is, what it is as a philosophy, and also like these guys are great advocates for bad kids. So and like I have like for me, most motivation comes from like these two on continuous basis. They're happy to like if I'm doing an effort, they amplify it. And that's what we need at the end of the day, right? So it's like support somebody who is doing good work. And whether like you reach out to these people, they'll always come back to you with ideas. And those are things like, I feel we need more of in Cosmos, more in Bad Kids community, more of that in crypto in general. It's been very common in Solana and Ethereum, actually, not so common in Cosmos, but now that is starting to happen. So that's also a good thing.
Yeah, totally agree on that, especially like the last sentence. Couldn't agree more on that and excited about it. But yeah, Abhitej, I think we covered everything. Was super insightful, and yeah, thanks for doing all of the events. We need more events in Cosmos generally. We need to push more culture, and I think what you guys are doing, both of you, is amazing. So keep up with the great work, and yeah, thank you so much for coming on. Hope to see you soon on the show, and at latest in Dubai for Cosmos 2024.
Yeah. Thank you so much and have a good time, and looking forward to Cosmoverse 2024.